Today we're going to talk about expectations and how to stop them from screwing you over. Whenever you start a business, a lot of times it's really easy to get these expectations built up. And I'm going to talk about how that happens and how it can really derail you and how you're going to stop that cold turkey. So when you build a business or when you launch a product, you've got a plan, especially if you're someone who's detail oriented and needs that structure. You have a plan set out for how you're going to do things and what campaigns you're going to run, when you're going to launch, when you're going to put out this piece of content or that piece of content, what the ads are going to look like, and you build a plan and you have goals for that campaign, obviously. And aside from just those goals, you also have your internal monologue that is setting up all these little goals and little expectations for how that's all going to go. And when you launch that campaign, you launch that product and that ad campaign or that e-com site or whatever it is, you've got these built up expectations that you may not even be thinking about them. You may only be dreaming about them while you sleep, and you may not even remember those dreams. But your subconscious expects riches to pour in, expects conversions to happen, expects sales and growth and scaling to the next level. And you may know logically that it takes 6 months for the average customer to buy from you after they meet you for the first time, and that they might have to come back 5, 7, 9 times before they actually make that purchase. But you have these expectations subconsciously that it's going to happen right away. Whether you know it or not, they're there, they come up for everybody. And when those come up, they derail 99% of people, because 99% of people see that as a failure, even though they may not even be able to identify what those expectations were. They just feel down and out. It happens to everybody. It happens to me. Those are thoughts that happen. It's what you do about those thoughts and what you do to prevent action based on those thoughts that saves you. And I'm going to say that again. Those are thoughts that everybody has. What makes the winners and the losers is deciding whether or not to take action on them, and not taking action on those thoughts and those emotions, but instead continuing to act on your plan. So more granularly, how does that happen? We have constant connectivity. So if you have apps on your phone that connect to your store or to your business, you have your Google Analytics app, you have your Shopify app, your Facebook ads app, you can log in at any moment and see how you're performing. And you may not even notice that you're doing it. It may happen 4 or 5 times a day that you log in to see if you have any new sales. And that's doing a couple of things. It's reinforcing those expectations that are going to hurt you in the end. And it's taking time away from what you should actually be doing, which is planning your next move. So whenever you set up a new campaign or a new launch, you want to defeat those expectations before they even get to you. And how you do that is you know what you're going to do after that first campaign, no matter what happens. So let's say you launch a new campaign. It's supposed to run for 3 months. Those 3 months go by, and you expected that to be the campaign that did it for you, that really made this business work. Doesn't happen. If you've been sitting on your hands that whole time looking for results, you're screwed. On the other hand, if you spent that time preparing the next campaign, it doesn't matter whether that first campaign is a success or not. If the first campaign is a success and you already have another campaign uploaded and ready to go at the end of that 3 months, now you have 2 winning campaigns. But if that first campaign, or you have 2 campaigns and one of them's already winning, rather. Now, if that first campaign's a failure and you spent that 3 months getting the next campaign ready for the next 3 months, then you have a plan of action. You have the next step. You have something that's going to continue to keep you in front of those customers that want to buy from you but don't trust you yet, or don't have enough information yet, or haven't seen you enough yet to where you're top of mind whenever they feel that need. Especially if you're running things like interruption advertising, which is what Facebook advertising is, or any social media advertising really. It's, you're not finding that person when they're looking to buy, you're finding them because they may be interested in buying at some point from you. They're not necessarily ready. So you have to stay in front of them until they're ready. And that can take a long time, to stay in front of that person repeatedly for 6 months, maybe a year, maybe more, until they're ready to buy it, depending on what it is. Now, if it's something, replenishable that somebody needs to buy new every month, you may have a little bit shorter sales cycle there. But the more expensive it is, the less often people purchase it, the longer that's going to take. So you need to have at least 3 months out a plan for what you're going to do for the 3 months after that, so that at any given time you're covered for the next 6 months. It's, if you have the time, make it 9 months. If you have time, make it 12. Do what you need to do to build those campaigns and those strategies out and make them rich with good content, so that you're not struggling to come up with that at the last minute, bogged down by the perceived failure from your unmet expectations. Because if you have those unmet expectations, which everybody does, and you don't have a plan, it's going to be way too easy to succumb to them, to give up, or to consider it a failure, abandon it, or just as bad, maybe worse, start trying desperation tactics to try to make the quick sale. And then not only do you probably not get that many sales, but you tend to ruin what goodwill you had from the previous campaign that you didn't even necessarily know was there, because it's hard to know what's going on in someone's mind after they've seen your company, your products, your ads for a few months. You get the feedback that they leave in the comments and the reactions, so you may get that, but you don't get that from everybody. And to be honest, not everybody that buys is leaving comments. Most of the people that buy aren't leaving comments. Those comments still help because it's social proof and it makes them feel safer, more confident about that purchase. But most people who end up buying are not the ones leaving comments. So you really have very little feedback on what's going to happen with those people, what's going through their mind. And if you start to get desperate, you can screw yourself even worse. So once again, quick recap: to avoid failure based on your unmet expectations, plan at least 6 months out with your campaign, know what you're going to do, and instead of spending time checking your results every day, work on your plan, work the plan, make the content, create the value that your customers need to see so that they can buy from you. And limit your checking of results to checking your tests that you're running, and only check them when they're done running. And that's it. You don't need to be checking results all the time. You need to be doing the things that are going to get you results.